There is a truth so profound, so transformative, that once you grasp it, you will never view your life the same way again. The reality you experience is not fixed. It's not predetermined. It is not waiting for you to decipher it. Rather, it is waiting for you to bring it into being with your observation. This truth transcends simple spiritual philosophy. It is rooted in the fundamental laws of existence. In the well-known double-slit experiment, scientists discovered something extraordinary. When particles like electrons were not being observed, they behaved like waves, existing in multiple states simultaneously, scattered across infinite probabilities. But when an observer entered the picture, the particles collapsed into form, into something real. The act of observation itself altered the outcome. It wasn't just about passive observation. It was about the observer's presence that gave birth to reality itself. This teaches us a profound lesson. You are not a passive observer in this world. You are not here simply to endure a life that was written for you. You are the one shaping the universe through your conscious perception. You are the observer, and more importantly, you are the one who collapses infinite possibilities into a singular reality. And yet, most people live as though everything is already decided. They believe their circumstances are permanent and unchangeable. Each day, they awaken and replay the same thoughts, the same reactions, and the same emotional cycles. They keep observing what is, and by doing so, they keep recreating the same reality over and over. It's not because they want to, but because they don't know how to observe differently. But what if you did? What if you could stop observing your life from a limited perspective and instead begin to observe with intention, with faith, with curiosity? What if, instead of focusing on what's lacking, you chose to see the boundless potential around you? What if, instead of reacting to the past, you responded to the future calling you toward greatness? This is the invitation of conscious manifestation. The power of creation lies within you, because reality does not simply happen to you, it happens through you. The invisible field of possibility that surrounds all things is not simply a passive force. It responds to your focus, your energy, and your emotional state. The quantum field does not listen to your words. It listens to your frequency. The question is, where is your attention? Every moment, your attention acts like a flashlight, illuminating one potential version of reality over all others. Are you shining your light on fear, doubt, and scarcity? Or are you focusing it on trust, gratitude, and vision? Most people try to change their lives by altering external circumstances. But true transformation, true reality shifting, begins when you change what you choose to observe. Because every time you emotionally engage with a thought, you're observing it. Every time you focus on what's wrong, you feed it energy, making it more real. But every time you tune into a higher possibility, even if it hasn't manifested yet, you're drawing it closer. You begin the process of collapsing it into reality. This is not wishful thinking. It is the law of existence. As spiritual wisdom teaches, where you place your focus is where you place your energy. And that energy shapes the world around you. It is not your struggle or your effort that shapes reality, but your awareness, your state of being. This is where true power lies, not in forcing life to bend to your will, but in becoming the observer of the life that already exists in potential, trusting that reality is fluid and responsive to your attention. So, if the universe is waiting to be observed into existence, what will you choose to see next? This is the beginning of a new way of living, not as someone waiting for the world to change, but as someone choosing how to engage with the world, moment by moment, as a conscious creator. Let this be the start of your new reality, for what follows will transform how you see yourself, how you feel, and how you shape your world. Your consciousness is not limited to your mind. It is not confined by time or space. It is the invisible sculptor of reality, the silent creative force that forms all things from the unseen. The world you experience is not the cause of your inner state, it is the reflection of it. And that reflection is born long before any action or event takes place. Great thinkers and spiritual teachers have spent decades bridging the gap between quantum physics and spiritual truth, revealing that consciousness precedes form. The universe is responsive to your consciousness, not the other way around. This shift in perspective transforms you from a passive participant into an empowered creator. But what does this mean for you in practical terms? It means that your focused intention, your awareness, shapes the reality you live in. Your sustained attention brings possibilities into form. The field of existence is neutral. It waits for your awareness to give it direction. In the quantum realm, particles exist as waves, unformed until they are observed. In the realm of human creation, your focused attention acts as the observing force. It is not your actions that create, but your awareness that shapes the potential into the real. It requires presence, not a method. It does not depend on external triggers. It depends on internal alignment. When your mind merges with your feelings, when emotion fuses with intention, consciousness imprints a blueprint onto the universe's unseen field. This blueprint then silently begins to reshape your internal landscape and, in time, manifests outwardly into form. Some call this intention setting, others creative manifestation, but it can also be understood as divine creation in action. This is where spiritual principles meet observable science. Renowned thinkers such as Joe Dispenza highlight measurable changes in brain waves, physiology, and electromagnetic fields when individuals align their intent with their emotions. Bob Proctor teaches us that it's not just our thoughts that shape our reality. It's the energy behind those thoughts. It's not the wish spoken aloud, but the state of being that sustains it. Consciousness, as we come to understand, is not solely personal. It transcends physical boundaries. It is non-local, meaning that your awareness has the power to influence realities, even from a distance and before they manifest in physical form. You do not need proximity. You need presence. You do not need external validation. You need inner conviction. And this is the transformative realization. The world outside of you is not the cause. It is the effect. Your consciousness is the root, the seed, and the fertile soil from which all things grow. The unseen field is the medium, and your observation is the force that gently activates potential, allowing it to sprout into existence. So, when you feel powerless, remember, you are not powerless. You are an infinitely creative being, a conscious agent shaping the world with the precision of your attention and the purity of your inner state. This is your invitation to pause, breathe, and bring awareness to your inner world. Realize that consciousness is not passive. It is profoundly creative, and the reality you experience is not merely unfolding for you. It is emerging through you. Creation does not begin with struggle. It begins with focus. Every moment of your life is being shaped by what you choose to give your energy to. It is not about what you say you want or what you hope for. It is about what you observe, react to, and feel deeply. Attention is not passive. It is magnetic. Every second you are awake, you are tuning your internal frequency, and that frequency sends instructions to the universal field. Your attention is a tool more powerful than action, willpower, or discipline, because energy follows awareness. Wherever your attention lingers, your energy collects, amplifies, and begins to shape your reality. This is why the same thoughts lead to the same emotions, which lead to the same decisions, which ultimately sustain the same reality. This is not just metaphor. This is energetic physics at work. Your emotional focus determines the vibrational quality of your field. Your thoughts don't just describe your life. They activate corresponding timelines. If you continuously focus on what's not working, what's missing, or what hurts, the field responds not by judging, but by reflecting that focus back to you. By observing your current life as just the way it is, you unintentionally reinforce it. Your inner state of observation becomes the blueprint for the next phase of your life. You look at what is, emotionally react, and then observe again, the same input, the same output. However, when you shift your attention toward a new possibility, one that aligns with your highest vision, and you engage with it emotionally, you begin to collapse that possibility into reality. You stop replaying the past and start vibrating the future. This is the secret, and it requires practice and discipline. The discipline to stop observing what is and to begin observing what can be as if it already exists. This is how quantum change begins. You're not pretending, you're focusing. You're becoming the observer of a higher pattern, and through your focus, you allow that pattern to stabilize and materialize. The old self wants to constantly measure current life, validate fears, replay memories, and assess progress. But the quantum self understands that the only true reality is the one you emotionally stabilize within yourself. If you observe limitation, you expand limitation. If you observe potential, you unlock it. This is the energetic shift. Observation must become intentional. Focus must become sacred. You are not here to passively witness what already exists. You are here to witness the invisible and bring it into form. Every time you give your full presence to what you wish to experience, whether love, abundance, peace, or vitality, and embody the emotion as though it already exists, your attention becomes the activator. It is not the hope nor the wish, but the inner decision to observe the unseen as if it is already manifest. This is the art of conscious creation, choosing what to see before it can be seen, holding the frequency of your desired timeline before physical evidence shows up. Not because you're delusional, but because the field is listening to your observation, not your conditions. And here's the powerful truth. You do not need to eliminate every limiting thought. You only need to be more devoted to your desired focus than to your familiar fears. The field does not require perfection. It requires consistency. It requires coherence between what you choose to focus on and the state of your being. So the invitation is simple, yet profound. Begin watching your focus like it is a sacred compass. Interrupt the impulse to observe what you do not want. Withdraw your attention from the narratives that bring you harm. And with gentleness, devotion, and practice, direct your awareness to where your soul is calling you to go. Because what you choose to observe with love cannot help but manifest in form. You are never just placed in this life to passively witness what unfolds. You came here to sculpt it with your presence. Many still believe they are waiting for change, waiting for the job, the love, the health, the opportunity. But in the quantum world, nothing shifts until you observe it into motion. Nothing becomes real until your consciousness tells the universe, "This is what I choose to stabilize." This is the moment when your identity transforms from one who reacts to reality into one who collapses it into form. You are not just a spectator in this grand play. You are the director, the lens, the light, the script, and the screen. Every time you pay attention to something with emotion, you assign it weight in the quantum field. You are not merely seeing it. You are collapsing a wave of potential into a particle of experience. That is why certain patterns repeat. You keep observing them, feeding them with attention. And the universe, infinitely responsive, reflects them back to you. This is not punishment. It is precision. The quantum field doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you reinforce through observation, through emotion, and through the identity you hold. This is what makes you so powerful, and why many unconsciously live out cycles they no longer wish to repeat. But here's the shift. When you begin to observe a new story, even before it manifests, you begin to fold new possibilities into reality. Not because you force them, but because you witnessed them long enough, clearly enough, with enough emotional coherence that they had no choice but to respond. This is the essence of creation. Possibility becomes presence, and it happens through you. When you truly grasp that your observation holds this much power, you stop giving away your transformation to the world. You stop saying, when life gives me peace, I'll feel peaceful, and begin saying, when I observe peace within me, life will mirror it back. Imagine you are witnessing two potential realities. One is a timeline where you're still cycling through old emotions, proving your limitations, and reliving everything that hasn't worked. The other timeline is already present, where you've become the version of yourself who is free, joyful, abundant, and loved. Both timelines exist in the field of infinite possibilities, but only one becomes physical, the one you choose to observe with depth and devotion. That is what acting as if really means. It's not pretending or delusion. It's choosing to observe what isn't visible until it becomes visible. You become the creator when you stop reacting and start deciding. When you look at your current circumstances and say, "This is not all there is. I choose to observe something greater," you claim your divine authority over the universe's field. And as you continue, the gap between your inner state and outer reality begins to close. What you once imagined becomes what you now experience because you observed it as truth before the evidence appeared. So here is your invitation. Begin observing your future self as if they are already here. Feel their energy. Picture how they move, how they speak, what they believe, and hold that image in your heart as if it already reflects your truth. In a universe governed by divine observation, the most magnetic thing you can do is see clearly what others don't yet see and become it. There is a subtle, profound moment when you realize the universe isn't testing you, punishing you, or withholding anything from you. It is merely responding to your energetic state. The field does not have emotions. It doesn't evaluate your desires or question your worth. It only reads one thing, your frequency. It mirrors it faithfully, precisely, every time. That's why life sometimes seems confusing, because your conscious mind is asking for one thing, while your vibration is radiating something entirely different. You may be visualizing abundance but vibrating in scarcity. You may be affirming love but resonating with the fear of rejection. You may be dreaming of freedom but emotionally tethered to control, doubt, or comparison. The field doesn't debate. It doesn't judge. It simply reflects back to you what you are being consistently. It is not personal. It is vibrational. This is the great shift of awareness. Manifestation is not about convincing the universe of what you want. It's about tuning your energy into alignment with the version of yourself who already has it. That version of you already exists. It is already alive in the field of possibilities. But you cannot experience it from a frequency that contradicts it. The field cannot deliver the frequency of peace through the vibration of chaos. It cannot bring you the experience of worth through the vibration of self-doubt. It's not because you're unworthy. It's because the vibrations simply do not match. So what can you do? You stop focusing on controlling outcomes and start curating your inner state. You begin the sacred discipline of observing your own thoughts, not judging them, but becoming aware of them. Feel into your emotional baseline. Not just how you feel occasionally, but how you feel habitually. Because it's your baseline that broadcasts the signal. It's the frequency you hold when no one is watching that sets the tone for your reality. When you take responsibility for what you're sending out, everything changes. You shift from being a victim of circumstances to being a creator of your reality. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What am I vibrating that's calling this in?" Not from guilt or blame, but from awareness and personal power. The field is your mirror, But most people try to change the reflection without changing the face they're showing it. They try to manifest more money without healing their story of lack. They try to find love without becoming someone who feels lovable. They try to shift their outer world without ever examining their inner world. And the field continues to respond. Here's your moment of activation. Ask yourself right now, what am I consistently observing? What am I emotionally repeating? What frequency am I living in, not just when I meditate, but in everyday life? This is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about choosing over and over again to return to the frequency of who you want to be, until that frequency becomes familiar, and then it becomes your reality. When you realize the field is neutral, you reclaim all your power. Because if it is not judging you, it is also not limiting you. There are no energetic gatekeepers, only energetic agreements, and you can renegotiate them starting now. With every breath, every belief, and every moment of presence, you're casting votes into the field. You're saying, "This is who I am," and the universe responds as you wish. Let this be the shift. You don't have to earn your dream life. You just have to match it. You have to broadcast it, and you must do it with the emotional integrity of someone who is already there. That's why this moment matters. This is your moment to stop reacting and start radiating, to stop begging and start broadcasting, to stop explaining and start embodying, because the field is already listening. If this message resonates with you, type in the comments below, "I'm choosing what to see." Let the act of writing this be a vibrational anchor, a signal to the universe that you are now observing life through the lens of creation, not reaction. There is a place within you that remains untouched by appearances or circumstances. It is the part of you that simply sees without panic, without projection, without noise. This is the frequency of the silent observer, and it holds more power than any effort you've ever exerted. The silent observer does not try to force manifestation. It does not chase outcomes or argue with the present moment. It knows something deeper, that reality rearranges itself not through noise but through stillness. Not through wishing, but through witnessing with full presence. In the unseen realm, everything exists as potential, a wave of infinite probabilities. But this wave doesn't collapse because of struggle. It collapses when you observe it with clarity. When you see with certainty, when your presence aligns with your desires. This is why so many people spend years attempting to create change and feel as though nothing shifts. They are still observing their current life through resistance, still focused on their fears rather than their future. And the field, it responds to the lens through which you view it. The power is not in the words you speak, but in the frequency from which you observe. When you tune into the field as the silent observer, detached from panic, free from judgment, and anchored in faith, you become magnetic. The things you used to chase begin to move toward you. Not because you've done more, but because you have become more empty of noise and more full of being. This isn't passivity. It is one of the most powerful disciplines you can develop. To witness your life without falling into the illusion that what you see is final. To hold space for what wants to emerge, even when there's no sign of it yet. To stay centered while the world moves around you. Because you're not waiting anymore. You're aligning. The silent observer is not disconnected. It is radically connected, but without the desperation that distorts the signal. It watches from a higher perspective with a calm knowing that every scene is still unfolding, that nothing is fixed until you observe it with your soul. In this frequency, you remember that reality is not an external force. It is an echo of your awareness. And the more silent, certain, and coherent your awareness becomes, the clearer the echo. So, how do you live from this place? You begin by practicing presence. You train your nervous system to feel safe in the unknown. You release the habit of constant analysis. You observe your thoughts like clouds, letting them pass without chasing or holding on to them. You breathe deeper. You slow down. You return again and again to the part of you that simply observes. And from that seeing, creation flows. The world will still offer distractions. Old patterns will try to pull you back. The ego will whisper that you're not doing enough. But each time you return to the frequency of the silent observer, you restore your alignment. You remind the field who is leading, and you watch as life reorganizes itself to match your vibration. This is the true seed of power. You don't need to manipulate outcomes. You don't need to perform spiritual rituals out of anxiety. You simply need to observe with heart, with presence, with belief. Because in this frequency, you are no longer separate from what you seek. You are the field itself, remembering itself. And the moment you truly see that, the wave collapses. The illusion breaks. The miracle manifests. So here's the final invitation: let go of needing proof. Become the presence that attracts it. Release the striving. Embody the frequency. Don't just visualize your dream life. Observe it from the space within you that knows it's already real. Because the silent observer doesn't create by accident. It creates by coherence. It chooses what to watch and then watches it come alive. Let this be your signal, a shift in how you meet your world, and an activation of the creator you already are.